Hi guys, I'll be explaining strings to us today, also string manipulations. So in the last video I had put up, we had worked with strings. So in this one we would be learning how to manipulate strings. So let's get to it. I'll create a variable called word and I would assign my name to it. So as usual, my name is Tony. Now there are a lot of things we can do with this variable, right? Outside just declaring it. And one of the things we did in the last video was to have an uppercase version of this word. So easily come here, log, or instead of logging things out, let's create another variable. Let's call it let upper uppercase version equals. So we'll simply have word, which is the variable I created, which is Tony, dot to uppercase exactly. So now what this simply does is it's going to change uh, or make an uppercase version of my name, Tony, right? Which we started this variable word. So what it is going to do is it's going to change word to an uppercase and store that value or that result in this variable, which is uppercase version. So when I come here and I log out uppercase version, sorry, uppercase version, we would see something like this. So now we can see Tony is an uppercase, right? That's pretty much because of the string manipulation we did here, which is I want it to give me an uppercase version of a string. And the string in this case is word, and word in this case is um, my name, Tony. So there are a lot of things we can do actually. So one of which is the uppercase or having an uppercase version of a string. So another one, so I think we'll just go through this item or this list here is concat. Now, concat is a short way of saying concatenation, which in lay terms just means adding stuff together. So now let's say, like for my surname is Nta, very funny surname. So let's create another variable called surname. Right? Let's have Nta. So now what happens if I wanted to print out something like this? Let's say I wanted to actually print out Tony Nta, which is my full name. Right? So there are two ways I could do this, which is I could easily come here and say let full name equals Tony Nta. Then I could come here and log full name. So if I click play, on the run button, you would see we have 2 meter. But what if I didn't actually want to go through this stress of having to uh, manually do this myself? I mean, it defeats the purpose of programming, which is you want the computer to help you do stuff. So what we can do is what we call concatenation, meaning we can add two strings together. And the way we do that is in two ways. We can actually do word plus surname. And you notice something. You would probably expect it should provide the spacing, but it won't do that for you. So you can see we have Tony tab, but there's no space in between. So what we can now do is we can actually have plus space and then my surname. So we're saying add the first word, which is Tony, add a space. So even if we want the space to be as long as this, we can do that. And then add the surname. So if we print it now, you should see Tony with gigantic space and then enter. So, but obviously this is not how you would want to space your name. So we have just one white space, one space, and then run it again, and now you see 20 tab. So this is pretty much concatenation, meaning you can adding strings together. So you can do it this way, or you can decide to do it this other way, which is through the concat method. And remember, I explained methods to us in the last video. So just a quick recap. Methods are the functionalities an object has, and in this case, the object we're dealing with is a string. So one of the objects or one of the methods it has outside um, to uppercase, which we did in the last video, is concat. So if I wanted to use concat, I could do word. I remember word is Tony, which is what I declared in line 15. And then we could do cat, and then we add surname. And if we should print this out, now you see we have Toninter. But then again, we don't have that space. So we could easily come here and add the space here. Let me just quit. Okay, let me leave it there. So if you notice, we've added a space here. And if I run this one more time, you should see, oh my days, what just happened? It should print out something. Yeah, so it prints out Toninter, which it's supposed to, with the proper spacing. If I take the white space out again, take note, it's going to print out my name, but this time together. So I can easily add the white space here. So rather than always consoling and logging things out, I could just come here, cut this out, and say, okay, let full name be the result of a concatenation between word and surname. So remember, I called the concat method word and then pass in surname. So obviously you would want to understand or ask yourself, what does it mean by passing in? And we'll come into the things, functions, yeah. So when you get to understand functions, you would understand what I mean by passing in something. So for now, you don't have to worry yourself about that. We'll actually get to functions later on. So right now, if I want my full name, all I have to do is full name, and then I print. And now I have Toninter, but you see, again, I don't have that space. So I can just come here. So I can actually add the space here, right? And if I run this, it works. I could take out the space and actually add it at the end of my. Well, let me even make this more reasonable. Let me just call it first name. And then this is last. Okay, I'm actually using the wrong. It's supposed to be camel casing. So remember I told you in the last video, whenever you're having more than a word, the next word should be with initial capitals. So last name, and then can this thing get out? And then first name. And then equally, let's fix full name. So we have full name. And if I should run this, we should have an error. Why? Because JavaScript is case sensitive. So this full name here and this full name here are two different things, because in this case we have uppercase N, and in this case we have lowercase n here. So that's what it's telling you, reference error. Oh, and then again word. Okay, that the first issue I'm having is word. So remember, I've changed word to first name, but I haven't reflected that change here. So it's going to ask me, hey, come on, you're saying word.concat, but there's no place in this script here. Declared word. So to fix this, all I have to do is come here. I love copying and pasting. So just paste first name here. And then if I run this, we should have another error. Yep, we do. And in this case, the error we have is surname. What the hell is wrong with me? So I didn't change surname also. So I'm going to come here, fix, take, put last name here. And now if I run this, we should have the error I'm actually waiting for. Yeah, so we have the error. And this time, full name is not defined. So like I told you, JavaScript is case sensitive. So to you, you might be like, oh, come on now, this is full name, this is full name. Yeah, you're correct, but this is full name with an uppercase N, and here you have full name with a lowercase n. So to fix this, actually I would have loved to copy and paste, but yeah. And then we run it this time, and everyone is happy. We have Toninter. So yeah, so we've done concat, which remember I told you is just adding two strings together. And if you're wondering what's happening here, we call this comments. So you can create comments in your script, and I say your script, like your file, your JavaScript file. And what you are pretty much telling your computer is, please ignore everything here. Do not take note of it when you're trying to execute my program, right? So we can pretty much do anything here, type anything we want. So it's usually used to document, like if you need to explain stuff, or probably like in this case, I just need to itemize the things I need to explain to you guys. So yeah, if you do this, it's for a multi-line comment, right? But if you want to comment on just one line, you could use the backslash twice and comment just this line out. So if I should run this code now, I should have an error because now JavaScript cannot see first name. First name is not defined because we commented it out. So just take note, whenever you comment something out, your program doesn't take note of it. So I'm going to return it to its former state, and then I run it this time. And now we have Toninter. So the next thing we would be doing is to lowercase. And now, how am I going to do this? How are we going to do this? So we have first name. Okay, awesome. So we have first name, last name, and then we have full name, which is the result of concatenating first name and last name. Forget the big word, concatenate is add. So you're adding two strings together. And then pretty much if we do this, so let's even make it to uppercase. So there's something we can do, which is we can chain methods together, which I didn't tell you guys. So let me show you what I mean. Now, this results into the result of this is adding two strings together. So now let's say, okay, we've added them together, but we want to have the uppercase version of the result of adding two strings together. So what we can simply do is we can actually chain another method, which in this case is the popular or the one I've used a lot, which is to uppercase. And if I do dot to uppercase, you see it actually allows me, right? So now if I run this, you should see tone inter now in uppercase. So it's called chaining, meaning you can have series of methods and keep calling each one. So how it executes is from I think left to right, if I'm correct. So it does this first, and once it does this, there's a result, then it does this next. So, all right, sorry guys, I had to take a water break. Throat was getting dry. So where was I? Oh, yeah, so I was explaining chaining of method calls. So we had, remember I told you first name dot concat, and then we can do to uppercase, and yeah. So I just felt like, and there's no limit. You can actually do okay after you've done the uppercase. I want you to let's see what can we do. We can actually do. Let me see what other method can we use. Um, let's, you know what? Let's not worry. Just know you can actually change this. Let's not get this too complex for now. So, but for now, let's keep it simple. So we're not going to chain our method calls. So now we have console.log full name, and if I run this, just to be sure, we have Tonita and lowercase. But now we want to have the lower. We want to use dot to lowercase since we've used uppercase, and dot to lowercase is actually the next thing on the list. So what we're going to do is we're going to have dot to uppercase. Oh, and I promise we're going to keep things simple. Let's just do it. So first thing you notice is this is the uppercase version, right? But now I want to see the lowercase. So I could simply just come here and do dot to low, okay, yeah, to lowercase. And now if I run this, we're going to have Tunita again originally in lowercase. So what actually happened is in this line, I'm going to stop using concatenate. We added first name and last name, and then we called dot to uppercase on it, and that's why you saw it printed the uppercase version of my name. But in this other in line 20, when we're logging it out, we told it, hey, you know what? I want you to give me the lowercase version of full name regardless, and that's why you have the lowercase here. So if I should take this out and delete this and run this, you see it's back to the uppercase version because of this last chain or this last method calling the chain. And just quick information, this semicolon is actually not necessary. So it's just convention, but you don't actually need it. I think the convention is people actually avoid the semicolon. So what's the next thing? So we've done concat, lowercase, uppercase. So index of, exactly. So index of is pretty much asking it what is the index position of this particular character I'm about to give to you. So remember I told you um let me let's just leave full name for now. So let's work with my first name. So my first name is Tony. Now remember I told you a string is a sequence of characters, right? And or a list of characters in a loose sense. So the first character being T in this case, the second character being O. Let me take out the white space. The fourth character being N, and the third character being N, and the fourth character being Y. Remember I told you the computer starts counting from zero. So T is zero, uh, T is index position 0, O is index position 1, N is index position 2, and Y is index position 3, right? So to confirm that, we could easily come and say, okay, you know what? What's the first index position? 0 is 1, 1 is 0. The computer starts counting as 0 regardless. And if we run this, you'll see it's telling me T. So, and you should try to see programming as a conversation between you and the computer, right? So in this case, I'm asking it, what is um, the first item at index position 0, which is a way of saying, okay, what is the first item in the list, right? So whenever you use index position 0, you're pretty much asking what's the first item in the list, or in this case in the string. So now, well, let's say we had a very long word like Tony, and take note, it counts the white space. So if I think the white space should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now if I should put 4 around this, you would see it return to you is returning nothing, but it's actually returning the white space here, right? So just take note, JavaScript counts your, when I say white space, this space here is called the white space, and it's spelled the way I think I'm pronouncing it right, white space. And that is whenever you press your space bar, you have one white space. If you press your tab key, I think you have 3 white spaces. Yeah. So just putting that out there. So I keep saying so. So what was I explaining? Okay, so let's say we had a very long word like Tony is a very funny guy. I think I'm funny, sure. So let's say Tony is a very funny guy, and I want to know, okay, what is the index position of R here? Now, the crude way would be to start counting manually. 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there should be 2 white spaces here. Yeah, 6. And it's actually very, very frustrating. So, and remember, what's the sense of stressing yourself when you have a computer? So the way around this is to just simply say first name, we call a method, and in this case the method is index of, and we pass in R. So we're asking it, hey, please, what's the index position of R? And if we print that out, or if we run the code, it's going to tell us 12. And to confirm this, if I should come here and actually print out index position 12, you would see we have R. So in the first case, we're asking what is the index position of R, and it's telling us 12. And then when we actually um, print out the index position 12, we're saying R, right? So meaning this is correct. And like my friend Nnamdi would always tell me, the computer is never wrong. So uh, he's correct actually, the computer is never wrong. So index of is just a way of asking the computer, please tell me the index position of a string, right? Or of a character in a string. So the character in this string, which is, remember, Tony is a very funny guy, is a string, and then each of the characters, right, make up the string. So we can say whatever happens within the walls, whatever happens in just say this as Vegas, right? Kind of lame example is it? Just see whatever happens between these quotation marks here from this one to this one, whatever is in between it is a string, or this is what makes it a string, right? At least in the lay sense of it. So index of would give you the index position, right, of a character, which is R. And then when you index it, when you use indexing, which is you pass in the index position, in this case it's 12, is going to return the character for you. So you can see this as the opposite of the one above is like the opposite of the one below. The one above gives you the number, which is the index position. The one below prints out what character is in that index position. So that's pretty much what index of does for you. So and then character at. So let's try character at now. As funny as it sounds, I've forgotten what character at does. So let's do character at. Character at. And we're going to pass in. Okay, yeah, makes sense. So now, if we run this, you can see we have 12R. Let me clear this so that it makes sense. Clear output. If I run this now, you see we have 12R. So in the first place, sorry, we're asking it, what is the index of R? and it's 12. And in the next instance, we're like, okay, to confirm you know what you're saying in JavaScript, what character is at position 12? And it's telling us R. And if we want to count this, which is stressful, we can do it. So we would have T is 0, O is 1, N is 2, Y is 3. We have two white spaces, 4, 5. I is 6, S is 7, 8. Seriously, I'm tired of counting, but okay, let me just count. Or let's use Y. Y is easier to count. So let's ask it, what is the character position of Y? Which obviously we know it's 0, 1, 2, 3, right? And then let's run it. And we should see, yeah, exactly. So the character position, am I saying? The index position of Y is 3. And then the character at index position 3 is Y. So in this case, like I told you, it's just a conversation you're having with your computer. So that's what character add does for you actually. You're asking it, please return the character at a specified position, right? In index of, you're telling it, please return the index position. It's like you have a list of items or things in your market list. So you want to know, okay, what was the fifth item in this list I wrote? Right? So in this case, the list you wrote is this sequence of characters, which is TONY, two white spaces, IS, two white spaces. Was it two or one? Okay, I think it's one white space. One white space. Tony is a very funny guy. So this is like your list of characters. TONY white space, IS white space, A white space, VERY white space. If you can see how stressful it is. So that's pretty much why you have these methods. It does make you talk less and not sound silly, because I think I'm actually sounding silly now. So the next one we have is slice. And if you're thinking of sliced bread, you're wrong. Yeah, but just when you're slicing something, sure, or slicing something. So let's look at slice. So we have, let's see, let's make this short. Let me use the best footballer of all time. Let's see. Let's say first name. Let me say the GOAT, because I think he's better than Ronaldo. Okay, sorry. Ronaldo might be watching this. So let's just say the GOAT is Messi, right? And then last name is, what's Messi's last name? Okay, Messi has no last name in this example. So, or let's just say his last name is my son. We're actually going to work with the GOAT. This sounds funny. So if you want, the GOAT is not an insult. It's like greatest of all time for you guys that don't watch football. So we're using the GOAT, and I'm sure we should have issues because we just changed first name to the GOAT. So we have to go and make sure we change wherever we have first name. So a shortcut is you can double click on first name, and if you press Ctrl D, it would highlight other occurrences of first name. Then you can simply type whatever you want, and in this case I'll just do the GOAT. So notice we have three cursors now. So in order to make it go away, you just click anywhere and it goes away. So now we want sliced version, right, of the GOAT. That really sounds funny. Okay, sliced version of the GOAT. So we'll simply do the GOAT dot slice one. Let's slice from one and stop at three. So now what you do with slicing is you literally slice from an index position, right, and stop at another index position. So let's say we have um, 4 characters, TONY, and you want to print out ONY, that's ONY. So what you could do is you say, okay, you know what, I want you to slice. Why am I using 20 when we have Mercy on the screen? So we have Mercy, 5 characters, MESSI. And now let's say we want to print out SC, as we don't want the M. So what we could simply do is we would say, okay, you know what, I want you to slice from index position 1, right, and stop at index position what, 6. Let's try it. I should be wrong with my example. Does it work? No, it doesn't. Oh, sorry. I haven't even called the method. So I haven't printed it out. So let's print out slice version. Hold on, if any recording videos group, it's in respect to the guys that have been doing this, it's actually not as easy as I thought. So if we print this out, we should have ES. And again, I don't know why I'm being so silly. So I'm slicing from 1 to 6. Exactly. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I could do 0 to 5. So now you can see we have SE, right? So I'm telling you, okay, start slicing from index position 1. And what is at index position 1 is E. So it will take from E up until the fifth index position. Now, if you notice, we won't have the fifth index position because the computer starts counting from 0. So the M is 0, E is 1, S is 2, the other S is 3, and I is 4. So you're wondering, okay, so where are you getting 5 from? So we are just doing this, we are pretty much adding 5 so that it takes everything from this first index position to the end. Now, if we had put in 4, which is actually the right thing, if you're counting properly, you see it's going to omit the I. So pretty much what happens in slicing is you start from the, I don't want to repeat start twice, but you start from the first argument you give it, which is 1, up on up onto, but not including this. So you're pretty much saying slice from index position 1 until you get to index position 4, but do not include index position 4. And that is why we have in this case ESS instead of ESSI. So if you want it to print everything like from the beginning to the end, then you could simply just add an extra number and then it prints out everything for you. So even if you put in 55, there's no index, there's no character at index 55 because this is just five um, characters long. So it's still going to print out essay for us. So slice can be a bit tricky, so I won't really expect that you might not get the hang of it for now, but I just felt I should put it out there. And then the last one we would look at is split. And I really don't think I should introduce you to split yet, actually, because it's going to have to mean I would explain what an array is. And an array is a list, and a list is the kind of data structure which will be coming, which I'll be explaining. I will introduce you guys to data structures soon. So I think we are going to avoid split for now. But if you're as curious as I am, and you want to know what split does, we could simply do this. So we have the goat, we want to split the goat. So if we do uh, log the goat dot split, and then let's just do this. So this is going to split it into a list of characters. But like remember, I always told you, even though you see a string as a sequence of characters and not strictly a list of characters, even though you can index their positions, because with list you can actually replace things in an item. You can actually replace the value of an item depending on its index position, right? But in strings you can't actually do that. And like I said, it's going to actually confuse you a bit if I introduce data structures, or if I try to sneak in data structures to us. So we would avoid that for now, actually. But just know this is what split does. It gives you a list of items, right? So pretty much I think we can stop there. And then I noticed there were some issues some of us had in the last task, or it was the task I gave up, and in the boot camp. So in case you're watching this video and you're not part of the boot camp, there's a task I give, but still it does not have to explain or address some of the issues. So one of the issues I saw here was I didn't understand almost everything. Christ. Ah, man, I tried to explain strings in that video and I don't know what the person doesn't really tell me what he doesn't understand or what she doesn't understand. So it's going to be hard to explain. And I can't like explain the whole video in this video. It defeats the purpose. So probably if you're the one that dropped this issue, you could be kind enough to explain what exactly you didn't understand, or reach out to me in the boot camp in the Slack channel. So I don't know who this person is, anonymous user. How do I properly allocate time for coding? How were you able to navigate your busy work schedule with coding? Any hints or recommendations? So let's just do this. Let me copy this up and take this away, and let me address it here. Ironically, the code in the our VS Code. So if you notice, it's already giving highlighting like giving me these funny colors because to JavaScript or to my IDE, it feels this is actually code I'm writing, right? And this doesn't make sense because the JavaScript doesn't understand what I'm saying here. I've not assigned this to a variable. I've not made this a string. Like for example, if I did this, sorry, it doesn't go away. Why doesn't it go away? Oh, multi-line strings. I'm sorry. So I think how do we do this? And, still doesn't work. I'm mixing things up. Let's see. We have a good friend Google multi-line. See, program will embarrass you. I use multi-line strings every day, and yet today I've forgotten how it works. Uh, multi strings. Oh, I'm introducing you guys to Stack Overflow. So, hi, can you imagine? So we use our back. I don't know what this thing is called. Honestly, it's that funny looking symbol before beside number one on your keyboard, right? What is it called? And again, let's go back to Google. How do you ask Google this stuff? What is sheesh, how do you ask it this stuff? Okay, the back. My Jesus, I'm really embarrassed. It's the backtick. What's my problem today? It's called the backtick. So if you want a multi-line string in JavaScript, you use the backtick. I think this triple strings is this for Ruby? Anyhow, so the first question, but this is wrong. So we should be using, like I told you, multi-line comments. So let's quickly create a multi-line comment. Yep. So how do I properly allocate time for coding? So yeah, pretty much one of the things I do is first of all, I try to make sure I feel excited enough to want to program that day. But if you give it like an hour or 2 hours a day, I think it's more than enough, at least for a beginner. And most times you realize you've been programming for even more than an hour or two. So one of the things you can do is what I call the Pomodoro technique. And pretty much what it requires from you is you focus for 25 minutes and then you take a 5 minute break. So one of the tools I use to help me with my Pomodoro technique is called uh, tomato timers, right? Exactly. So I just come here, I click on my Pomodoro session, and then it starts the countdown for me for 25 minutes. So once it's done, you take a 5 minute break. And then if you complete 4 Pomodoros, you can take a 15-minute break. So what it does is you actively concentrate for 25 minutes, right? Rather than, oh, you are working and then next thing you pick up your phone and you decide to check who is tweeting or who they're dragging on Twitter or something. So yeah, that's what I use, the Pomodoro technique. Then what's the next question? How were you able to navigate your busy work schedule with coding? I think then again, it's all about passion, right? Because I actually realized I really love programming compared to I like law. Don't get me wrong, but I love programming more. And I I think the cross or the turning point for me was I was taking a stroll one day when I wasn't sure if I actually wanted. I mean, I knew I wanted to be a programmer, but I was like, how sure am I? So I asked myself, if I was to make $1 million, right, as a programmer today, or $1 million as a lawyer, in which life would I be happier? And I realized I'll be much happier as a programmer. right? Because I mean, you can there's pretty much you can do pretty much anything as a programmer, right? You can ship out stuff that would impact the lives of millions of people. I mean, the reason you and I can talk on YouTube is because of programming. Someone actually designed and created YouTube and all that. I'm not saying lawyers don't have impacts. I mean, they do, but it's just something I love, and I actually dream of being like Tony Stark, having these crazy gadgets and funny screens in my house and stuff. Even though I suck at maths, I'm afraid of machine learning and AI. So yeah, it's to navigate it is first of all the passion. You have to really understand that it takes a lot of work, hard work, and sacrifice. Right? There's no easy way. Like some of you would watch this tutorial and you would feel really stupid. Like, what is this guy saying? But the trick is you keep coming back and trying your best to understand stuff. So you just have to really love it, like it, right? Enough to get frustrated by it. And yeah, so to navigate or how I was able to navigate it, I realized okay, I work for 9 hours and I won't say I got so good, but I realized I could finish my task as a lawyer then with the company I worked for, right? I still work with them, but now as a software developer. But when I worked with them as a lawyer, I realized I could finish my task in like 4 hours or five, and I had 4 hours free. So pretty much I decided, okay, I finished my task in 5 hours for the day. I have free 4 hours free, and I would use that time to learn to program with the office Wi-Fi. I hope my boss is not watching this then. now, but yeah, that was what I did then, and it paid off. So yeah, it's just how you manage your time. Actually, if you have a proper way of managing your time, you'll be shocked how much you can achieve if you dedicate just 2 hours a day doing stuff. And then, what other question did we have? I always have issues accessing documents and installing files. Like the last assignment you gave, I had a tough time installing the IDE. Well, probably again, I don't know who this person is. But what you can do is if you have that issue, just reach out to me on the bootcamp. Probably we'll just have a session where I see what your problem is. Because right now I wouldn't even know what files or documents you had issues installing. And I think for the IDE is VS Code. I don't think VS Code is that hard to install. My major issue was with the word slash PDF doc. I was confused as to how to merge it with other tasks. I really don't understand this question though. And I don't think it has anything to do with strings. And then again, if you're the one that dropped this, please just send me a DM in Slack. Then let's really understand. So one of the things I noticed in the last boot camp, in the last task was, oh yeah, when I gave I in the again, if you're wondering what task I'm talking about, there's this boot camp called Legal Debuggers where we teach lawyers how to program. So I gave them a task, and I think some people had issues. One of the issues they had was the semicolon. They actually think it's really not necessary in JavaScript, right? But if you want to know what this means, it's just a way of telling your program that, oh, this is the end of an expression, right? Or this is the end of a statement. So it can move on to the next one. But JavaScript is not that strict. It has a way of knowing based on the context, oh, probably this guy is done with what he's saying, right? And yeah, then another thing I noticed was what other issue did I notice people had? Yeah, when they're using methods like for example, if you're doing last name, if you do last name dot to uppercase or dot to lowercase, right? You have to call it. You have to use this the parenthesis, right? Double bracket. If you do this, you're going to have an error like this. It doesn't know what you're saying. It's like you're trying to say something, but you've not completed what you're saying. So it's like wondering what you're trying to say. So remember, but if I should try and print this out now, I would see nothing. Why? Because I've not told JavaScript to print out this thing for me. So to print it out, all I have to do is come here. Why am I so lazy? Console.log bracket open, come here and close it. So now I'm telling it print out whatever I pass in here. whatever I give to you. So what am I giving to you? I want you to print out last name dot to lowercase. Already last name is in its lowercase, so let's just make it more practical. Let's make it uppercase, right? And if we run this now, we would see my name in lowercase, my last name in lowercase, right? So yeah, so if you do this, you're going to have issues. It's not even allowing me to do it. That's how strict VS Code is. And then another one is you don't do last name dot and you keep a space here. This space has disrupted everything you're doing because then again to JavaScript, there's no method like dot white space to lowercase. It comes together. Well, neither can you do this, right? So the method is on the object, and in this case, the object is the string, right? And the method is this. And we have tons of methods. It's not just dot to lowercase. That's the good thing about using an IDE. It helps you list out these things without you having to memorize them. No one expects you to memorize this stuff. So yeah, these are like the possible methods we have, which I had explained. And if we pick normalize, for example, we can see what normalize does. Yeah, we can see what normalize does. So yeah, pretty much I think this is a very good place to stop. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you hit subscribe. Sounds awkward saying this stuff. I hope you like it and subscribe. And put on the notification for more videos. Thank you and have a good day.